Hi, I'm back. This is going to be part 2 of the introduction to key anatomical concepts of yoga, the anatomy course that's coming up in a couple of weeks. I apologize, we got cut off because we're in a hot room and the equipment overheated, and so there's that. So this is Jessica. Again, Jessica's going to demonstrate some body positioning for us so that you can more fully understand this little sample of what I'm trying to get across. One of the things that we discuss in the anatomy course. So before the phone overheated, I was mentioning anterior pelvic tilt. So the anterior pelvic tilt, again, just to review from the last from part 1 of the video, is when the pelvis here, the hip structure, the hip girdle, is in this tilted position. So basically, the front part of the pelvis is tilted forward more than the backside, and this presentation is a bit excessive, and it's not. It puts the spinal column in a position that's not optimal. Not optimal for anything you do in life, whether it's sitting or walking or running, yoga. And so we want to start every yoga posture in a neutral position, so that the spine is optimally supported. The spine is supporting itself, but the spine is also supporting the entire rest of the body. So to rectify this, we want to get the front part of the pelvis to tilt this way. This is a more neutral pelvic position. So you'll often hear in class the instruction, push your hips forward, upper body leaning back. You've heard that before, I'm assuming, or something similar to it. Now, the simplicity of that instruction serves a purpose. It's a broad instruction, but it serves a purpose because everyone in the room is going to understand what that means. It's very simple. So even the beginners are gonna get it. They're gonna be able to push the hips forward. But what I want Jessica to show us here is that listening to those words specifically, push your hips forward, upper body leaning back, you might wind up here in a different position, and this we call a sway back position. And in this position, the spine is not optimally supporting the body either. Let me show you what it looks like inside. So here I have a model of 2 vertebrae, and these are lumbar vertebrae. And what happened? This is the intervertebral disc in between the 2 vertebrae, and the idea of the disc, the discs serve a number of purposes, but they're there basically for shock absorption, and you can see when there's pressure applied here, the disc in between it's malleable, and it's this sort of pillowy cushion that prevents the bone from pressing right down onto the adjacent bone. And more importantly, it provides space for these nerves to pass through. And this is the spinal cord, which passes through the vertebral column, and this is where all of those little peripheral nerves exit from the spinal cord to the rest of the body, to the extremities. Now, if there's too much pressure here, you see how this opening, this is called the spinal foramen, you see how that opening gets smaller. So the space through which the nerve passes is then becoming compressed. Now, if you would go back to your normal anterior pelvic tilt for me, thank you. If you can picture what's happening here, instead of the load being evenly dispersed over the entire disc, like this, there's more pressure on the back side of the disc. Do you see that? So with this anterior pelvic tilt, there's a compression here on the back side. So the load and the pressure is no longer being evenly dispersed. It's pinching back here on the backside. So we want to start our yoga postures in order to make sure that they are therapeutic and helping to address certain mechanical issues in the body. We want to start in that neutral position. So again, when Jessica hears, knowing this and seeing this model, having a glimpse of what it looks like inside, she knows, oh, when I hear push your hips forward, upper body leaning back, I don't want to go excessively into the sway back, because that's going to turn into a whole different scenario here. I want to go into that neutral position. So essentially, Jessica has the tools to more accurately decipher the instructions and to apply them more specifically. Thank you, Jessica. Another example, and if you want to sit, you're fine. I want to show a little bit more here on the model. Now, if we sit at a desk all day and we happen to be in this position with the pelvis tilted in that particular way, there's pressure here for long durations, long periods of time. And so what can happen is these discs can become hardened, they can become a bit calloused, and they lose their resiliency when they get hardened. And then what happens is we have less cushion, we have less, the vertebral discs are less able to serve their function as shock absorbers, which again, as I showed you, can ultimately be a significant problem for the passage of nerve impulses, the transmission of nerve impulses. So what we do in yoga classes, we do a number of forward bends, which temporarily puts more pressure here on the front side or the anterior side of the disc. We do methodic back bends, which again temporarily puts a pressure on the posterior end. We do side bends. So we basically keep these discs malleable and resilient so that they can serve their purpose in protecting and supporting the spine. So that's one little sample of what we talk about during in key anatomical terms for key anatomical concepts for yoga. And we talk about, like I mentioned, we talk about psoas on day 2 and day 3. We talk about, on day 3 and day 4. We talk about anterior pelvic tilt and the plumb line, trying to get the whole spine in line for every posture that we do in the yoga series. We talk about that on day 1. Again, you can go to the website, bigroomyoga.com, and you can see the whole course syllabus there. So you can see the specific content that is covered on each particular day. And yeah, I've had a really fun time developing and creating the course, and I always have a fun time teaching it. And really the energy in the room, people are just so fascinated. Again, I've selected material. This is by no means a comprehensive anatomy course. You know, I could never claim to teach you everything there is to know about anatomy. And you probably wouldn't want all of that, honestly. But the content that I've selected is material that I find to be incredibly fascinating, and it's also applicable to the yoga. So yeah, it's 4 days. Again, it's coming up in a couple of weeks, the first 2 weekends in February. Again, there's a weekday evening option and a weekend afternoon option for any one of the 4 days. Again, go ahead and visit the website. You can contact me there on the website. You've got all the information, and you can enroll right there. So it's bigroomyoga.com, bigroomyoga.com. And again, that link will be included in the comments section below. And that's basically it. I hope to see you there.